So obviously we have quite a few bits to talk about tonight, but I actually wanted to start with speaking to our special guest tonight, CptAuro himself. Please put your hands together with Captain Oro. I don't know why I said that. We already did that earlier.
We'll just do it again.
Do it again. Louder. But yes, CptAuro, how are you doing? I hope you're good. I wanted to about your origin story regarding Pokemon VGC, but I kind of felt as though it might be nice if we do what I like to call a quick fire question round with you.
Yeah.
Where I just ask you 10 questions, you just answer with the first thing that comes into your head. Are you ready for the quick fire round?
As ready as I will ever be.
Fantastic. Right, 1, 2, 3, and go. First off, name.
Simon.
First starter in a Pokemon game.
Charmander.
Favorite music artist / band.
Childish Gambino.
Oh, good choice. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Favorite snack.
Oreos.
Favorite TV show or film?
Demon Slayer.
Oh, good choice, good choice. First Pokemon game you ever played?
Red.
Favorite video game franchise that isn't Pokemon?
Ooh, Last of Us.
Ooh. What is your dream holiday destination?
Japan.
Oh. And if you had an entrance theme to walk into a Pokemon battle, which song would you pick?
John Cena, you can't see me.
Fantastic. There you go. There's your quick fire questions for CptAuro. Oh, Demon Slayer. I need to catch up on Demon Slayer actually.
I got a bit stuck on the game one because I was like, oh, I've played so many fantastic games. I was like, oh, which one's a good one? I was like, just go with Last of Us. It's controversial because everyone loves the first one. Everyone hates the second one.
I'm gonna put my hand up. I'm gonna put my hand up right now. I have not played the second one. I've played the first one. I've not played the second one yet, so I can't have an opinion on that. However, first one, fantastic. Also, Childish Gambino, what a choice! Like, excellent choice. Great choice.
I was watching a video on him earlier on today, and just some of the stuff he's done in his career is just absolutely ridiculous. Like,
exactly,
he's just so talented.
He is amazingly. I loved him in Community. Yeah, his music is top notch as well.
Funnily enough, I had tickets to go and see him, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So I never got to see him, which is the biggest shame. And now he's kind of like this album might be his last album as Childish Gambino. So
dude,
I'm really hoping
sorry.
I can go see him.
Oh, that was right as This Is America was coming out and stuff, right? Oh
yes,
no,
yeah.
That would have been so good, man.
When he was at his peak, and it's just like, hopefully, I'm really hoping this next album, rumored to be his last one's going to be really good. And I want to go and see him before he kind of says that's it. So,
yeah, dude, do it. Because I'm a massive fan of a band called Shinedown, and I was going to try and watch it, but then of course the pandemic hit. So it's and they're not planning to go back to the UK for a good while. So I'm like, oh, have I missed it? But we'll wait and see, obviously. Yes, some very cool choices there by CptAuro. Has reminded me I need to catch up on Demon Slayer. So that's good. I feel like we could just have a little discussion about you in general, really. For people who don't know CptAuro is a member of the London Corviknights community, a very talented VGC player, I might add. We are going to go through his Liverpool MSS team in a bit, because he did win that, believe it or not, for people who are unaware of his achievements. But
better believe it.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to start the conversation really with you, Captain, about sort of how did you actually get into Pokemon VGC? Was it a shock to the system to start learning VGC Pokemon, or did you find it quite natural?
Well, as I already alluded to, I played Pokemon Red as my first game. I played that when I was a child, so it wasn't like I picked it up later on in life. My dad actually used to own a game company until he sold it, so we had access to plethora of games, Pokemon being one of them. I remember having a special edition Pokemon Stadium Nintendo 64.
Oh, yes.
And that was just amazing. In terms of transitioning from that casual gamer to the VGC side, it wasn't too bad, because me and my friends would casually battle each other, while obviously we had literally no knowledge of VGC. We didn't know about natures and EVing and everything like that, so we would just fight each other in battles. Best one wins. Probably just do best of ones, or roulette it round. Someone would play one person, the other person would play the other, and do it that way, and you've got the little cables. So that's kind of a soft kind of approach to it. I think most people now in the community, I really got involved when the pandemic hit round.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit later than everyone else. Series 7 was when I started playing, because one, I had time to learn everything, so I could sit down, read, absorb, watch content, and play it myself. 2, I had just money because I wasn't going out to a restaurant. I wasn't going out and doing this stuff. So I was just inside. So I obviously had to entertain myself in some fashion. And that's how I kind of got into it. Obviously, I knew about some of the bigger players because being a Pokemon fan, you do hear VGC stuff, so I knew about Wolfie, Cybertron. So that's obviously where you start when you want to get into VGC if you know of those people. But I also know about Twitch as well. So I started going on Twitch, watching people play battles, everything like that. One of the people I watched was Video Game Shay. She's a very casual variety gamer, but she did a bit of Pokemon VGC. She's also like a top-notch artist as well.
She is, to be fair, actually, yeah. But shout out to Video Game Show.
She does great artwork. And then the other person was someone who's actually become a really good friend. And we've only actually ever met once in real life, and that was at EUIC last year, called Almost Good Enough Gaming online. And he's an American VGC player, but he's just been the best way I can sum it up is the epitome of how I feel this community is. Just really friendly, approachable. They'll chat to you, but also I think the most important thing as well is like we're not all overwhelming about the game. It's not like 24/7 when we have a chat, it's just about the game. We can chat about various different things and other things we're interested in. So that's been really good, and he's been very pivotal in this season for me as well.
I think you've nailed it pretty much there. I think it's very important in any community not to overwhelm each other when it comes to either information or just in general. Just don't overwhelm each other, please. I think it's awesome as well to hear the VGC side was born out of the pandemic as well, similar to like how we all kind of started, because it was very much like similar to you, like what are we supposed to do? What can we do? Like we're sitting in a room just twiddling our fingers being like, well, what do we do? And it's like, okay, I'll pick up the Switch and, you know, play a bit of Pokemon and take it from there, see what we can do. I really appreciate the story you've told there. Shout out to Almost Good Enough Gaming for being your sort of guide, if you will.
yeah I mean, as I said, I've kind of alluded to, he's a fantastic person, always up to chat with anyone, whether it's VGC or just a regular chat. So, you know, it's been really good to get to know him, and by getting to know him, I've got to know so many more players in the community outside of the UK as well, which has been beneficial, because sometimes I guess the difficulty is knowing who's who online, and also who's the people that you can, again, like I said, I've found most of the community in a similar vein to yourselves and almost who are very friendly, but there are some characters that you're like, oh, you know. 100%. So having someone in the know, it helps you kind of know which characters to speak to and which characters to kind of, okay, might need to just help protect yourself a little bit.
I think Barrett will feel the same way to me when I say, like, you know, when you're scouring through Twitch to see people to watch and you're like, oh my god, this person's from the United Kingdom. Like, there's a United Kingdom VGC player on Twitch. Like, I am going to be friends now. I don't know, Barrett, if that's similar to you.
Yeah, I feel that sentiment as well, especially finding people who could play in the kind of time zone that we live in. I know that it seems like it should be really easy to find people who play in these time zones, but the American evening times, like, obviously so late for us. I think English players, British players, I suppose, or English-speaking players, there is a bit of a barrier there between doing that, so it's really good to be able to not only find people who are able to help you in your early stages, but also they're really nice, and if they end up being really nice and approachable, it just goes to show that if you are introduced to the right community at the right time, you can thrive as a player, and you can excel really quickly in the game as if you are given the right environment. And actually, it kind of sounds like you had a bit of a positive environment when it came to games quite early on in life. You mentioned that your dad had a gaming store, so that must have been quite interesting growing up, especially around that time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, especially around that time, like we're talking about Nintendo 64.
You're talking to me.
Like,
yeah, hit me right in the heart, Captain. You're hitting me right in the heart.
But they are nostalgia kind of consoles. But if you gave that to a kid nowadays, they'd be looking at it like, "What the heck's this? Like,
yeah, what is this?
Where do I put the DVD in? How can I play my movie on it?" They'll be like, "What? I've got to blow the cartridge to get it to work."
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a good environment. My dad is he's a bit more of a computer gamer, but I think his love of gaming built that company. And then eventually sold the company to game itself.
That's crazy.
And he's a big poker player as well, so he's very he does bowling as well, but he's very competitive, and I think that's probably where I get my side from. It's like I am very competitive, and I know myself I need to tune it down sometimes, especially when I was younger. I couldn't tune it down. Now I'm a bit older, I have a bit better emotional intelligence on that side.
I mean, to be fair, we were talking earlier about players who lose a game of Pokemon, throw a chair across a room and get banned. So, you know, yeah, there is that line to not cross. But I'm also kind of curious as well, because I was honestly trying to remember how we met you. And I know I've met you in Liverpool and I met you at EUIC, which, of course, God bless you, by the way, still meeting me on the Saturday after you've done a full day's worth of battling and you've admitted yourself you didn't really sleep great, and you still came over and, you know, said hello and all of that, and I was like, oh my God bless you. And I think you literally went to bed after we spoke. You were like, I'm sorry, I need to go to my hotel and sleep.
Well, that's just long tournament formats for you. And the day before I had the EUIC, I had really high hopes of making day 2, felt comfortable in the team, and then it's the only tournament where I can turn to myself and just go, I played well, however, I just won none of the games that I played well in.
Yeah.
Because of one of the games, I remember being in such a winning position, and then the guy got 3 flinches on me, and I was like,
oh no.
I was there, like, at the table, and I think it was like the game where I needed not to lose to go. I was literally 2-2. And I was sat there, and after that was game 3, and he got 3 flinches, and I just sat there at the table with my hands in my head, like,
that's disgusting.
That's painful. That's painful. And I was like, right, I need to go 6-3. Managed to get myself back into a good position, and then again it happened. And I was like, anytime I felt like I got myself into a good position, it just felt like I was eventually then punished. And then it ended up, last game I played Simple Beam Dondozo, and I was like, I do not care about this game. Wolfie's on the screen.
No. Simple Beam Dondozo, get out of here. No, get out.
I saw this team sheet and I was like, yeah, I've lost interest in this game. I'm going to put it down and play it to be friendly to the guy, but Wolfie's on the screen facing a Tracky on Whimsicott, so I'm kind of like this, clicking in my moves and then watching like that.
Yeah, cool, man. You've got +4 and everything. That's so cool, man.
Oh, mate. I mean, to be fair, I remember we turned up at EUIC and we saw Wolf Click in the corner. I was like, oh, Wolf Click's there, nerd. And Nerd's like, oh, yeah. And then literally Coldflame storms up to us. And Karam's like, oh, hey, guys, you're right. I was like, oh, you're right, Karam. And he's just like, yeah, check out all the people I've got selfies with. And he whipped out his phone, showed me all of these selfies he got.
That is a proactive player.
He is.
He doesn't just play hyper offensive. He's like, can I have an autograph?
Yeah, literally. And then, like, a second later, he was like, anyway, see you guys around. I'm going to go and see if I can find any other VGC players to get a selfie with. I was like,
you could just tell.
He was a man on a mission, that boy.
Yeah.
You could sense them.
My round 1 at EUIC was, Shom.
Oh, yes.
That was my round 1.
Oh.
That was my round 1, and it was such a good game to have. He won it in 2 games. Again, he got a flinch off an icicle crash. I hate that move so much. So he got in game 2. I got into a good position, and then he got the flinch that won him the game. I knew it was the out. I saw that as the out, and it happened. And you just have to so at round 1, you just go, fair enough. Like, cool, let's get on with it and shake hands. And afterwards, he was really encouraging. Said I played really well, and he liked my team. So he said, hopefully it can go far. And it was really good to have like a player of that caliber in the community kind of give you that positive feedback.
I think it's always important to be that kind of character, I guess, no matter what your level of play is, because you're supposed to, in my opinion, you're supposed to be encouraging to each other no matter what. I always live by the principle of no matter how bad you do, you always say good game to the other opponent, because at the end of the day, you have to leave a positive impact for whatever happens down the line. If you go off kicking and screaming, not only are you giving yourself a bad name, but you're also giving the tournament and the Pokemon franchise a bad name by representing it. That's just my opinion. I guess my last question then, before I throw it over to Barrett, at the moment, I would, let's go for at the moment, like, considering with Regulation G. What has been the one Pokemon for you, whenever you're team building, whenever it comes to tournament time, what's that one Pokemon that you feel like has always got your back, that you like to team build around, because you know consistently it's going to work for you?
It's not a difficult question for me. It's Grimmsnarl. It's Grimmsnarl.
Oh.
Like Grimmsnarl.
Oh.
Like 100% Grimmsnarl. He's my favourite Gen 8 Pokemon. I love Rilla. Like I will say that Rillaboom. I love him. But Grimmsnarl, the way I play my game is just so good for the team. So anytime I'm looking to build a team, I always kind of go, can I have a kind of similar Grimmsnarl type player, type Pokemon on it. I've used Klefki and I've used Tinglu in the past. The Grimmsnarl it literally can be an MVP in games if people don't deal with it. And also, if people over focus on it in turn one, it gives you so much room. So much room to do what you need to do. So it's almost like a Pokemon of like, leave it alone and I can harm you. But if you target it too heavily, I can still harm you the other way. So it gives you breathing room in a sense, and it's such a good Pokemon to have. Its attack stat as well, by the way.
It's like 120 or something, like something silly high.
It's decent. I remember I used it in Draft League one time.
Yeah, me too.
And the person had double Genie, Lando and Thunderous. So I used Clear Amulet, Grimmsnarl, Prankster, Bulk Up, Ice Punch.
Oh my lord!
And just ran through them, and it was just like it was a way of beating them.
I remember EVing Grimmsnarl, sucker punching it into a Spectrier with no attack investment, still O-code, regardless of the amount of investment that the Spectrier has. So like when you get into that meta, if you have a Grimmsnarl and you just think, hey, I just need like a strong sucker punch, it was like the go-to guy. Just by being on the field, it's doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's good Pokemon just sit on the field and just their mere presence means something.
Me and my friend who built the team that we're going to discuss we said we're shocked by how late everybody's picked up on Grimmsnarl. There have been players that played Grimmsnarl this late in the year. Everyone's kind of gone, oh, Grimmsnarl's really good, and just picked it up. I think the really good thing about Grimmsnarl is the versatility that you can have on the sets, especially in closed team sheet. A lot of people will expect it to be like Clay, the double screens, but you can play something a little bit different.
I mean, we saw it, didn't we, in one of the regionals very recently? I want to say it was LA, where it was pretty much just dealing with Cali Ice quite nicely with the foul play. You're definitely proving the point that there are multiple ways of running Grimmsnarl, and I'm actually really pleased to hear you say Grimmsnarl, actually, because Grim is a fantastic Pokemon. I'm really glad it's getting the credit that it kind of deserves.
You know, you mentioned a lot about how health towards the game is really important, your mental attitude towards the game is. And I just wondered if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the things to do with maybe like how you've dealt with the mental aspect of keeping on going through, say, a long tournament run, and how that you stop something like maybe the stress from getting on top of it.
So I'll preface this by saying it's going to be different for each person, and also for myself, I have to combat. I have to have ADHD, and I also have social anxiety. So I have two things that I have to combat, and it's why sometimes when I'm at these long events, by the time I hit round 7 or 8, you'll come up to me and say hi, and I'll be like, I'm just gone. I am just gone. Like, I have no energy. I've got my battery is gone, and I will try and be nice and friendly, but I am just probably like, part of dealing with, if you say before the event, is just making sure I get everything in check. So I make sure the team's correct. I make sure whatever I need packed for the day event before is all in the bag. So when I wake up in the morning, it's just brush teeth, shower, go. Get dressed and go. I'm not going to the convention naked. That would be
There goes my plan.
Some have tried.
But yeah, just do that, and then obviously just having friends around, people you know, so you can chat. As I said, the community's been fantastic. Having people that you can just come and say hi. And I think the really good thing is, because we're all in different areas of the UK, when we see each other at a regional, it's literally like the highs are like, it's not like an everyday high, like, hi. It's like, hey, how you doing, man? Like, it's like really energetic.
100%.
Yeah.
It gives me energy, and even though I've got social anxiety, the one thing I do love is like getting to know people and being with people and everything like that, because it gives me a bit of energy. Like, I love positive people. I love people who are just kind of like there for the vibes, but they want to be like the best as well, you know. So I have like a good group of friends that I know I can hang out with. I know that there's going to be other people that come from different areas that I know as well. That really helps. And also, like, one of the best devices I had in terms of like my mental game as well is in between breaks, try and just have a normal chat. Like, yes, you're gonna say, "Oh, how did the game go? I didn't go too well," blah blah blah. But the worst thing you can do is overanalyze in between the plays. Like, "Oh, if I had done this or that or that," that's going to eat into your energy that you need for the next game. So it's like you get off that table. You know, a few of your friends are going to ask you how it went. Tell them whether you won or lost. Game went great. This is how I played this. And then it's like, "Oh, what do you fancy doing for the rest of the, like, what are we doing tonight? You know, where are we going for food?" Or, "Oh, you spoke about this the other day," something non-VGC related. So that's really good. In the game, like when I'm sat down, I think, again, being friendly to the person across the table. They're a human being. They have as much hope and expectation as you do across the table. So just being friendly, being nice, getting to know them. Obviously, there can be a language barrier. Body language is important as well. How you come across that way to tell people who you are. Body language is important, especially when there's a language barrier. I think once the game starts, it's more around the preparation you've done before. I think that will clean up your mental state, and I know that was very different for me on day one of Liverpool, because I did very little prep going into that one compared to Lille, Gdansk and EUIC. I felt a bit more steady, so I played in a way that suited me better.
It really sounds like that comfortability, re-grounding yourself, telling yourself things like you got yourself prepared the day before, running through the lines in your head, going through your preparations, and re-grounding yourself by going out to other people is like really important to keeping your head on straight during the event.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you struggle to do that, you just got to find certain ways that will help you kind of do that. One of the big things that I've adopted this season was having headphones. I noticed in Lille that because of my ADHD, everything going on around me is distracting me from there. So there was a couple of games where I felt I could have had a cleaner play, and my brain's gone, "Oh, what's gone on over there?" and just kind of like ran away with that rather than being locked in. I think the bigger factor to deal with is the RNG in the game. Like that's always a point to deal with.
Yeah, those unprepared factors, those bits that you can't really account for because they're going to happen in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's they're always a little bit difficult, you know, especially later on in the tournament and the closer you get to cutting. That's going to be difficult. What I would say with that is part and parcel of the game. You're going to get some, you're not going to get some. The team that we're going to feature has heavy RNG mechanics, but they're not reliable. You play that if they happen, it puts you a step ahead of your opponent. If they don't happen, then you're still in a good position if you've made the right plays.
You can rely on RNG if you know that you're in a position where you can do it, and I think that's for us like VGC players who really I don't think it's natural to be okay with just like randomly getting flinched or randomly just, you know, it's difficult for people to accept that it's just a part of the game, but to almost take control of that aspect a little bit by being like, no, I will run Fissure Tinglo, and I'm going to make sure that when I click it, it's because even if it misses, I'm still in control. And I think that's a really interesting way of dealing with that aspect of the game. It's interesting.
Do you want to hear a funny story around Fissure?
I'll go for it.
So I was playing the Polish player Felipe, who runs Torgal Jump Bluff last EUIC. So we were playing against each other. We got down to game 3. He had spored my Tinglu. I had managed to get rid of the jump up on the other side of the field. His King Gambit got rid of my Flutter Main on that side of the field. So it was 1v1, but I was asleep. And I just clicked Fissure, going, if I can click Fissure and I still sleep, the next turn I click Stomping Tantrum and it does the damage that I need it to do. I woke up and the Fissure connected.
Oh my lord.
Let's go.
I was there. He was not happy with that decision.
Can imagine.
And, you know, he got up and just kind of went, yeah, signed the slip and walked off. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. I can understand at that point, like, he was in a very solid position. And to be fair, afterwards, I did see him when we had a little chat. He was kind of friendly around it. He just said at that point, I just needed to go and have a breather. And I was like, no, fair enough. Like,
Absolutely,
I will never judge anyone from them kind of having that and going like that. For myself, if that happens, like a lot of players will kind of put up their hands and go, oh, sorry for that. I literally just turn around to them and go, that's part of the game. You know, you got it, I could have got it.
I actually feel like we could just slip this conversation straight into your team report then, regarding Liverpool. I love this image of Hisuian Goodra with a goat's face.
I love it.
I kind of want this to be an in-game model, but then I realised I think this is going to be too scary for the kids.
It's the demon head goat as well. It's not a normal goat, it's a demon head goat, which is why it looks scary.
Yes, oh wow! Now you said that, I recognise it now. Like,
makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So just again to give a bit of backstory, this is of course CptAuro's MSS winning Liverpool 2024 team. CptAuuro, do you mind just explaining what an MSS actually is, just for anyone who is a bit unaware as to what they are?
Yes. Well, they were. Because they're going to change.
We'll get to it.
Spoilers for later.
They were mid-season showdowns, so essentially you would have PCs mid-season showdowns. They were both local. However, MSs will run at your regionals as well, and they warrant a larger CP if you win them. So I think it's if you win a PC, you win 30. If you win an MS, it's 50. The nice thing about winning a MS at a regional, which I kind of knew, is you get a ton of tickets for the prize pool.
Oh,
so you get a ton. Now, unfortunately, you don't get enough for the skateboards, which I really wanted.
Oh, come on!
So
can't actually get like.
I feel like those ones are bait prizes.
They must be.
I don't know how you win it. I literally won the MS. Had like over 2,000 tickets, and I was still 800 short. I was literally there like,
what have you got to do? What is it? Chaos Cup and all of that only offers like 100, 250, 200 maybe.
You don't win everything.
I feel like if you win the MSS out of regional, you're automatically entitled to that skateboard.
Yeah.
They give that to the regional winner, actually.
Oh, sorry. I feel as though, like, I don't know why. Straight into my head, I'm thinking, like, if CptAuuro won it and they were like, really sorry, still can't give you the skateboard, like, CptAuuro just stands there and he's like, how a bummer, dude.
Actually, like, if you win juniors, you get enough tickets.
Yeah.
No, I am 12. Look, it says right here. And
we can't pay them.
It's like
can't give them money. But...
CptAuuro says, no, I am representing the juniors division. This beard is fake. Like, my ID says I am 12, and it's literally just written I am 12.
The amount of times I've had to try to do that at a local and said, can I just go in the juniors or seniors division?
Yeah, literally.
See if there's no juniors or seniors there. We've got a senior at R1, and he gets the maximum CP each time.
Yeah. Oh, it's similar to... It's similar to mine. Like, we've got in my local, it's always juniors. It's never seniors or masters. That like, it's just this one junior kid, and she literally goes like, so we'll go for like 5 rounds, right? And she'll finish like 3 and 2, and she'll barely miss the top cut. And it's like she's a junior, and she's just beaten 3 masters. Like, it's like, go girl. Like, she literally could just. She only has to sign up, and she's automatically got the most amount of junior points she can get. Like, I wish I could do that. Just turn up and be like, I'm here to compete.
Imagine if you were just trying to justify getting a holiday to Hawaii to your parents.
Yeah.
And you just did every circuit. You're like, I already qualified for Worlds, Mum. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Say no? Like, I could be the world champion of Pokemon. You're not going to take me to Hawaii this year?
You're going to take me to Hawaii? What kind of parent are you?
I saved up all my pocket money for the regionals, bro.
Do you even love me, mother? Anyway, before trauma kicks in. Let's talk about this MSS team, because I did skim through this earlier, and I was very interested in this because this was regulation E or F. No, this is regulation F, isn't it?
E and E and F.
E and
so
F.
First of all, credit to the image of the Hydra goat is to Max Emilius.
Oh, fantastic!
He made the image and sent it to me after I won the Liverpool MS, and we discussed the team. So yeah, it's
Shout
just
out.
A hilarious image. The team that's on the screen right now, Annihilate, Arcanine, Goodra, Grimsnarl, Cress, and Ogerborn was the team I took to Lille. And then we had to evolve it because of the meta developments later on, and that kind of stuck for E and F. And that kind of fixed the issues we're having. It did present what I would say to people if you're ever team building is think of the trade-offs that you're getting by having each Pokemon in a position, because we did lose to certain matchups by not having Annihilate. That would be my big thing there. But by having the other Pokemon that we put into place, it won us a higher percentage of matches because of the way the meta developed.
Makes sense.
This document I've written out is actually rather large and chunky. I didn't realise I had written this much until I kind of went, oh, I've written this much, and I was like, right, that's enough. I'm just going to write the conclusion and send it to the guys. So we won't go over everything.
Oh, but it's still
go
good to see though, like, because it's really good to see, like, in detail just your thought process throughout this whole journey. I guess, yeah, I want to start off with obviously the MVP of this team, the GOAT Goodra. Was there a particular reason why you picked Goodra, or was it literally you just sort of saw it from Hisuian and you were like, oh my god, look at that thing, I need to use it?
Well, kind of yes and kind of no. And again, I would actually lean to say that even though Goodra is the most unique thing in that team, Grimmsnarl is the MVP.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
And I think so. This team was built by myself and Almost Good Enough Gaming. Almost Good Enough Gaming took it to Peoria and finished 17th. So
Damn.
before I had even picked up this team, it already had a good record, and there were a couple of other American players playing with it who were hitting 6-3s, 7-2s, getting into days 2s and stuff like that. So it had a kind of a small group that were track recording it. When I was coming up to Lille, I had Portsmouth PC, and then Lille a week later. I was 3 days away from Portsmouth, and I was like, I don't have a team, so I just messaged almost out of like faith and knowing that he'd done well with it, and said, look, can I please use your team for this PC? I just want to get a bit of practice in before Lille, and if I get comfortable with it, can I use it? And he went, yeah, sure. However, I will do like a bit of training with you. So he just took me over everything and the intricate details of this team.
That's so good.
So yeah, it was really good, and I went on to win that Portsmouth PC as well.
All right.
Sorry, just to clarify, is Portsmouth your local then?
It was my local, and now I'm based in the Bournemouth area, and in Bournemouth we've now got 2 locals because of the TOs have set up in 2 card shops. So hopefully this seasons we're going to have 2,
nice.
pending the changes. But yeah, Portsmouth originally was my local, and then Bournemouth got licensed partway through.
Oh, well, thank God for that then.
Portsmouth one was crazy. Like the games that I played had an opponent timeout, so I won the game off the timer. I had someone miss a double heat wave when they were in a winning position.
Oh my lord!
And I got a crit heavy slam onto a flutter when I was burnt. To win me the game.
Just to see the all of the damage just flying around in the calculator before it finally landed on it still KO'd.
Yeah. Oh god.
And that's what I mean. Like RNG does play a factor in, and that tournament was like played the lines I had to play, but probably because I wasn't that well inducted to the team, didn't play them as best as possible. So when I went away from it and went, oh, I've won, but I feel good with the team. Went back to Almost Good Enough Gaming, Noah, and just kind of went over the ideas and went there, and then we went 6-3 at Lille, just missing out on round 9. I was 6-2, faced a good friend who's now a good friend after Lille, and he won that round to Top Cup. So yeah,
that's so cool though. Like, I'm just looking at this calculations as well. I'm always very pleased when I see team reports and I'm seeing like the offensive calculations and the defensive calculations, and it's like 31% chance of Oko from an Urshifu single strike close combat, and I'm like, I like that a lot actually.
31, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the Goodra spread is, I would say, was unique, because I've seen a couple of people play with Goodra now, and they've kind of brought the same spread. Because I literally meticulously one day just went, I'm going to work out what the best spread for all these Pokemon are, and figured out actually going 252, 252 on Goodra was not optimal. I could actually live a Terra Fairy Moonblast without Light Screen if I had a certain amount of Spadef done.
Well, it's like,
wow.
yeah, you see the actual stats of the Pokemon here, and it's actually quite crazy just how nice this Goodra spread is actually. I don't know about you guys, but Dragon Steel is, in my opinion, probably one of the best typings in Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
yeah, just it's got 2 weaknesses: ground and fighting.
They were pretty popular at the time.
Well, so just make it Terra Flying, and that's what we did.
Yeah, exactly. It is optimum. Let's be honest. This is optimum. This is probably the best Hisuian Goodra set I ever saw. Watching you on stream use this Goodra, you would be doing like limitless tournaments, and it's always like, we need to position the Goodra, we need to put the Goodra, and it's like, how's Goodra doing? And Goodra's like, I'm all right, I'm having my leftovers, like, I feel good.
What was the process really like for positioning in matches with Goodra? Because it was a relatively new Pokemon. Not a lot of people really got a good enough chance to explore it. I feel like you got probably the most experience of most of the players I know.
First of all, if we speak about the set, it was shell armor, which stops any crit. So we're talking about RNG. The worst thing that can happen to you at any point is getting crit, right? So that just takes that pressure away straight away. Like, you're kind of in this safe zone of, that's the role of minimum to maximum. Like, I know that, and that doesn't. There's no way they can crit past it unless they're mold breaker or they've got neutralizing gas. So you're in a good kind of position there. And then you've got heavy slam, body press, shelter, which gives you +2 in defense, and then life dew at terra flying. So like we spoke about, like Urshifu and ground types, I say Urshifu because that was predominantly that, and Iron Hands were predominantly the fighting types. You're kind of like looking at them going, yeah, cool, go and hit me with a close combat, or hit me with a wicked blow, because it's not critting, you know?
Yeah.
You're in a really good position going there. Positioning it, you would either position it at the front as a lead to just get it set up, especially against physical heavy teams, or depending on their special attackers, you would need to have it in the back to get rid of their special attackers to then get Goodra in. Now, Goodra has a fantastic special defense stat, so there were times where I did just lead it against the Flutter main because it was a Flutter main and I could just heavy slam it and set up a light screen with my Grimmsnarl. You have ways of getting around it, and then obviously the life dew plus the leftovers just allows you to keep it on the field. The thing that I think, because I mentioned in the report, I played 3 people who tried to play this team. They'd obviously seen the team and saw, oh, this is a cool team, picked it up, and they didn't really fully understand that you've got to look for the aggressive play of this team. It's not just about, hey, I'm going to shelter and I'm going to life dew and I'm going to do this. It's actually looking for the trade-off. A lot of the time when I was facing Iron Hands Flutter, my first instant was the light screen and heavy slam into the Flutter point, because if they faked out the Goodra, I got the light screen up. If they faked out the Grimmsnarl, I took a bit of damage but got the Flutter off the field.
Yes.
And then I could get everything else set up, and if I needed to, pull back the Goodra for the moment. So there was that kind of understanding of when to be aggressive and when to be passive, and a lot of the time with this team you want to look into an aggressive nature and not kind of play to a stall point. You will play long games with this team. It will draw games out to game 3s because you'll make a mistake in game 2, but if you crack that with more aggressive plays, then you can kind of get over that hurdle.
Pokemon is just as much as a mind game as it is about team building, I've noticed anyway. Especially in Liverpool, where it's like, I remember finding myself in a game 3 situation and the guy who was really polite to me earlier just suddenly giving me dagger eyes. Oh, we're in that phase, are we?
It's a volatile game.
Like, it's just like, oh yeah, really nice to meet you, followed by yeah. I mean, we've talked about Grim already, and it's quite nice to see that it's, I feel as though that reminds me a lot of sort of like the classic, I say classic, you know, vintage Grimmsnarl from Sword and Shield with the screens and the Spirit Break and the Thunder Wave. Before you stuck with these 4 moves, was there any other moves you kind of thought to put on the Grim?
No. There was, it was always going to be those 4 moves. At the time, foul play wasn't relevant.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Spirit Breaks allows us to get into the dragon types. The only other Pokemon, if we did remove that, had a fairy move was the Cress. So we needed the Stab Fairy plus the reduction in special attack. Light Screen Reflect, again, you just make Goodra or whatever else is on the field bulkier. And then the T-Wave. Now, obviously the T-Wave starts hitting that RNG kind of marker where you go, you can miss this move. You've got to understand you can miss this move. So you need to position it so that when you click this move, it's not win or lose the game. It needs to be in a position where if you hit it, it gives you an advantage. If you miss it, you're still in a neutral position. So you're never giving the opponent like the edge to step over you and start building momentum that way. When very early on, when I was playing this team, there were times when I would go for the T-Wave on the first turn instead of setting up a screen, and it would always backfire majorly. So my advice to anyone with Grimmsnarl is set up the screen that you need the most first, and then look for the T-Wave plate if you can play it instead of setting up the second screen, or Spirit Break. You know, Grimmsnarl, as we spoke over, has a fantastic attack stat. It can really chunk into Pokemon like Iron Hands.
Which is why you've got the spread here to be less about investing in that attack and focusing more on bulk, which, yeah, like you mentioned, Grimm's fantastic attack doesn't need that sort of boost in attack. You know, you can focus those EVs on other areas of the Pokemon. The only reason why I did ask that question is literally just because Grimmsnarl just has so many moves it can utilize. You know, the fact that it could still run Taunt, Spirit Break, Foul Play, Sucker Punch, Fake Out. Like, Grimm's literally got everything. Like, it's ridiculous. Does this thing get Parting Shot? Am I predicting?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, I'm pretty sure it got Parting Shot, and it's like, oh, hello.
We just didn't need more damage reduction, and also, if we talk about Among Us, obviously the Spore, our play was to T-Wave ourselves.
Oh, right, but there you go.
Oh,
if you need the counter, you can T-Wave yourself.
You need the counter, you can T-Wave yourself. You've also got to appreciate you can miss. Like, that's part of the game. So
I like the idea of just you T-waving yourself on a Mucus. It's like, gosh darn it, you took my fun. I was going to do that.
And now he's slower than me. I've got nothing.
Yeah, I've got nothing. Just turns to his trainer. It's like, well, what do you want me to do?
And he goes, oh, Regenerator. And he goes, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'll switch out then.
Nice. Yeah, that works for everyone, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So your third Pokemon here is Hisuian Arcanine, which I feel as though we shouldn't actually be surprised considering just how amazing Hisuian Arcanine was in these particular this age of the year. Hisuian Arcanine was just so good. Yeah, talk to us about how you felt about Hisuian Arcanine.
One, I had the natural worry of everyone else is really weak to certain types, and then it just started. The factor is, on this team, you have the Screens and Intimidate mode, which kind of just dampens into your opponent. Now, by the time I went to Liverpool, Incineroar had started picking up. So I could have easily swapped this Pokemon out for Incineroar, and I have in future versions swapped out for Incineroar, but that's because parts of the other team have changed as well that gave me a bit more power.
Yeah.
And the thing with Arcanine is it gives you a bit of power. You don't need to invest huge amounts, though we did on this version, to give us a kind of edge when we wanted to make those aggressive plays. One of the moves that I'll speak about is the Snarl. Not very common. You usually go for Head Smash, but we put Snarl on as another kind of damage mitigation versus Landorus, Glamoras, anything that kind of was going to cause us a bit of an issue there. Fun thing with this one is the Annihilate version was Ghost Terror, loaded dice, Rock Blast, so you can proc your Annihilate's Rage Fist.
Oh, what a tech.
And that's Jamie Boyett tech. That's Jamie Boyett tech, so you can thank him for that one.
Of course there's a Boyett tech.
Yeah.
Any excuse to run loaded dice.
And I actually played him at Lille.
Really?
The team. Yeah. I played him with the team at Lille in round 6.
I hear he's a super nice guy. I do hopefully get to say hello to him one day because he seems super cool, and he turned up to Liverpool with a Terra Electric Chen Pao. Next up we got Cresselia. I feel as though Cresselia, especially with the Trick Room, Lunar Blessing, Calm Mind, Moonblast, would you say this was pretty much a staple set of Cresselia?
What people don't notice is if you actually look at the EVs, it's an offensive Cresselia.
Yeah.
It's not about helping the team, because what we found is this is what Noah explained to me, was when we first made the crest, people just ignored it. No, people just let it sit on the field, click Lunar Blessing, and just double into that slot. Like they double into the slot on your other side. The genius idea they came up with was, let's do Calm Minds and Trick Room and Lunar Blessing and Moonblast. That gives us a better angle into all the fighting types that were causing an issue. Like, I will say, it doesn't hit surprisingly hard, but it will break sashes on, like Urshifus, Chimpaos. It will chip them down, and that's the most important thing. Also, you can get in a really good position when you get Hoodra up to +4 and Cress up to. There's no way they're coming back at that position. And when you get into that position, you're like, I have played this game amazingly. The amount of times I got it into that situation, I was like, yeah, no, they're out. I can do whatever I want.
They don't see that you're willing to just go so hard into just committing to the buffing, and then they just go, there's no way I could do this. This guy's still got 3 turns of screens left. Like, what was I supposed to do about it?
Yeah, because I actually just want to point out you saying this is an offensive crest. I put this on the screen here. Your HP is 226 after that, and your special attack is now just as high as your defense. I really like this, actually. Really do. Like you mentioned, you're not going to do massive amounts of damage, but it's the fact that you're doing that chip, and it's the fact that you are...
I should note on one matchup is with the Cress, and when you lead Grim versus a Dragapult versus CptAuro, if you T-wave the Pult, you will outspeed with this Cress, and therefore can OHKO it.
That's just
That's
ridiculous.
so fun.
No way.
Oh my god, that's our Reggie Gigas analogy from last week. Like everyone on the start line, 100 meters, and it's suddenly CptAuro's like, quick, Grim, T-wave the Pult for me, please. Like,
and he falls on his face. At the
it falls on his
line.
face. Cresselia's like just mincing along, doesn't even have to worry.
Yeah, Creselia's just like...
Yeah, literally it's like... do. Let's talk first about your Ogerpon Wellspring. The question I was going to ask you, Captain, was what did you feel when you first saw Ogerpon Wellspring being introduced into Scarlet and Violet? Did you already know when you first saw it that this Pokemon was going to make an impression?
So when I first saw it in the trailer, I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, same.
In the trailer, I was like, what the hell is this? Cute, but what? And then I started reading into it more, seeing what it could do, and I was like, okay, this is going to have measure, and I could already tell European players were going to jump on the Wellspring version more, and the American players were going to jump on the half-lane version more. Everyone else would kind of pick those up. The reason why I say it that way is because Americans play a bit more of a hyper-offensive game.
Yes.
Compared to Europe, we play a more balanced game, so Ogerpon Wellspring fits into that ideology. Initially, I do detail it down in the report, but initially that used to be Urshifu Rapid Strike with Choice Scarf, just because water fighting type, it adds in value. However, when we started experimenting with the Ogerpon, we realized actually this is actually really good for what we want in terms of redirection, recovery, and a bulky Pokemon that can increase its bulk through its Terra, and has a decent chance to crit. So again, leaning RNG in our favour rather than allowing it to be in the middle or on our opponent's favour.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It kind of very in keeping with your overall kind of game strategy, which is to just make the safest plays possible as often as possible. And I think that it makes sense as well. I feel like I could learn a lot from your play style, because the patience that you have to exhibit in this type of play style, I think, can be quite difficult to really hone down. Ogerpon Wellspring is a really good example of giving you that breathing space in the team. Yeah, and it's key in terms of a certain matchup that I detail in there, which I'll just quickly go over, but it's the Chi-Yu Flutter matchup. You cannot bring the Hoodra into that matchup. You have to go Ogerpon and Grimmsnarl, and that gives you the best chance of success, because when you remove those two from the field, the back pocket of Cress and Goodra can come in and sweep.
Which makes a lot of sense. The last one was the one I was most intrigued by, was the fact that you stuck a Galarian Moltres on there. Yeah. Kanto Moltres, take note.
He didn't even lose, bro.
Stop kicking Moltres while it's down, Alex. Come on.
Sorry, the Lake Trio, take note.
This is why you're at the back of the class, Moltres. Galarian Moltres, talk to us about the addition of Galarian Moltres, and why did you put it in there?
Like I alluded to before, we made a change to the team after Lil, and it's because we noticed that Golden Go and Amoonguss was picking up. Now, of course, we had no answer into a Golden Go because the Amoonguss would redirect, and we had the safety goggles on the Crest because it was the safest option to stop us getting spored or statuses that were going to annoy us. So we started searching for different Pokemon that would help us out, and Moltres was one we were looking at because it fit the criteria that we needed. We needed a spread damage that can hit into Golden Go for effective. It has a RNG chance as well with both Air Slash and Fiery Wrath for the flinches, but it also allows itself to stack. So we have 3 Pokemon on the team that can stack up its attacking ability. Therefore, we can kind of down tune those sides and try and make it as bulky as possible. I will say Moltres is fairly frail, even behind screen. Like, I've had it at times where Iron Hand just goes into this thing behind a reflect, and it just kind of drops. So you do have to learn the matchups that you need to position it and which ones you bring it to. So it's the fixer of the spot. So originally it was Annihilate, then it was Moltres, then into EUIC it was Terra Ground Volcarona. So you can see how that spot has changed for us. Alongside testing other things, but this version suited the meta the best because of the Golden Go problem. The Poison Terror was obviously just to protect it against Fluttermanes. Obviously, Glamora started picking up, so that was a difficult matchup for it to handle. As we got later in the regulation, it had more struggles. However, it still had certain matchups that we needed it for, so it never came off the team until EUIC. Obviously, one of those matchups it struggles against is Raging Bolt. But yeah, it's that Pokemon that kind of is the fixer spot, and it fixes your bad matchups for the other 5 Pokemon.
Interesting concept to have such a sturdy core and then just have a band-aid Pokemon to be and then this one deals with all the rest of the problems. Actually, I think Corviknight's a really good example of that Pokemon. We just think, I just need good flying stab and speed control, and you put Corviknight in that place and it works. Moltres is a good one for that.
I love
and I like the
I just want to say I love the fact you said that. It was you got your ice core and you got this, you got something else. It makes it sound like Moltres is basically the core Pokemon are oh yeah, we're all bros, we're gonna say 5th Pokemon comes along, it's oh I'm here, and then Moltres just turns up and it's and I'm here too.
And I'm also here.
And I'm also here.
He's can I join in, guys?
Yeah,
and it's
literally.
Oh yeah, sure, fine, just for a while.
My Kanto brother's mocking me, can I prove a point?
And the fact of is Berserk plus Citrus Berry behind screens, Intimidate, Lunar Blessing, and Life Dew. It's kind of broken. I'm not gonna lie. You can just get those nice stacks, have Goodra sat on the field at +4, and just go Life Dew, Life Dew, Life Dew. And like I mentioned, the Moltres was designed to beat the Golden Go, so we had to have it EV'd to outspeed what was popular at the time, a Modest. Nobody was really running Timids, other than maybe I would want to say the winner of Gdansk, Aoi. I think he ran a Timid Choice Specs version.
Yes, he did. Yes.
But that was kind of very rare.
Yeah, no, I seem to remember last year, I can't remember what for, but we looked it up for something, and it was 3% of all Golden Goes were Timid, compared to Modest, which was well over 80. I think one of them was Bold. I think there was 1% of Bold Golden Goes, which was interesting. Also, I'd just like to point out in this document as well, just some of the matchups that you have mentioned throughout this. Fluttermane Chi-Yu matchup, your Urshifu Rapid Strike Torn matchup, which was very popular. If you managed to go a full day without seeing an Urshifu Rapid Strike Torn lead, then you might as well do the lottery, mate. And also, your Fluttermane and Iron Hands, Goldenga and Moongus, as well as your team weakness section here, which you've mentioned.
Yeah, well, like I said in the article, no team is perfect. You've got to always evolve your team. But I think the thing that helped me out was the period of time I stayed with this team. The core of the team, I would say, is the Grimmsnarl, Goodra, Cress, and Ogerborn. Because eventually, as I mentioned, we did move on to Incineroar in a later version of the team. And obviously, the Moltres was always swapping over. It was it was Annihilate, Moltres, Volcarona, and then we evolved it again. So understanding the core principles of the team and what we were after really helped us kind of go, this is the critique of Pokemon. So you've got over 1,000 Pokemon now. We just narrowed down that list so much because we had a critique that they had to fit this. They had to fit that.
This is really, really well put together, and there's a paste here down below.
Please go check it out. I'm sure that there's lots of things that you can learn about team building process and everything like that, so please go check it out. It looks like a fantastic read. I'm going to be reading it myself as soon as the stream is over.
I did skim through this, and now I will properly sit down with a cup of tea and read through this properly and be like, I wish I did this instead of being a chunky, filthy size fan.
And I do appreciate if anyone has any questions, go ahead and ask. I've also put my record at the MS there, so I went 7-1 at the MS. The one game I lost, I will say I played badly.
Just blame it on the Moltres.
It was actually the Moltres. It was actually
there you go. There we go.
I led it into a Raging Bolt, and I've never done that ever again.
Oh, there you go.
I am really mean to Malchester, and I am so sorry.
But I will say there's a couple of things I want to say about the run. So the first opponent on there, Sam Taberner, who's a really good friend of mine, we have this back and forth thing going where whoever beats anyone wins the tournament.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I won that game.
And then you won the tournament.
And I won the tournament.
Yeah.
And ever since Liverpool's happened, if we're at a local and I beat him, I win the tournament. And if he beats me,
Wow.
he wins the tournament. It's like this
Wow.
crazy kind of like matchup thing that's going on, and we're both like, when's this going to end? And can both of us qualify for Worlds as quick as possible and play each other?
Oh my god, yeah. That's
Yeah,
mental.
really
guaranteed win pot.
worlds.
That's actually crazy. I love that.
The other thing I will say is in my top cut game, so I think it's Bart on there. He unfortunately had to leave before he could play the game, so I didn't actually play my top 8 game, which meant I went straight to finals.
Oh, bless.
That's pretty
So
cool, but nice.
It's unfortunate that had to happen that way, but no, I
You can't
went
help
straight
it,
to
can you?
finals. Yeah.
You know what? Did you see their team by any chance?
No, I didn't get to see their team. No.
Did they
It'd
say
be cool
your
if you'd
team?
just be like, "Oh, I win. It's fine."
The
they say
Spanish
your-
player I played the round before had a crazy team of Quiver Dance Volcarona, a Terra Poison Encore Iron Bundle, with a Psych Up Latias.
Oh.
And I
What?
totally forgot what Psych Up did because I had a long day. And then the first round, he just went, "Yeah, I'll take that +4 Goodra off you," and just took the stats off me. And obviously, we're both sat there at +4, and I can't damage him with the heavy slam, even though he was Terra Steel. And I was like,
That's mental.
yeah.
That's so funny. That makes sense. Yeah. Oh, with the into the dragon typing as well. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus
you look at the
Christ.
dragon move. Oh, that's so funny. Very interesting tech there, but you managed to squeak it out anyway.
Won game 1, lost game 2, got the double protect on game 3.
Oh,
won.
yes. Yes.
So,
Well, as soon as you get the
yeah.
double tech, that's fate. Like that's the god saying you are going to be the winner
You're
today.
going to win this one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other funny thing is my last final opponent had a Glimora, and he never clicked Sludge Bomb into my Goodra as I Terra Flied him, which I always did on turn 2, so it gave me the advantage straight away. And the annoying thing was his Sludge Bomb's always poisoned, though.
Oh
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there you go. He's got that skill. So that skill difference there with the sludge bomb poison.
No, he's
Well,
just
I think-
whispered into the Pokemon's ear, and it's just like, you are going to poison it every single time.
That's how you got to do it.
I think I evened it up when our game DC'd on game 3 when he was about to take the lead.
Oh.
It
Did you have to do a
DC'd
replay?
completely, and we had to do a full replay.
Oh,
And we
okay,
were
yeah.
both like that.
Win.
I had a coach I had to catch in 45 minutes, so I was literally
Oh,
playing
yes,
that
I
last
remember
game.
you
Like,
saying.
"Come on."
You were like, oh, thank you for the win, I've got to leg it now. Yeah, I remember you saying that, and I was like, oh my god, I hope he gets his coach, because I was in a car driving back to Sussex while I was reading all this on my phone. By this point, I've already reached, like, Birmingham. So I was just like, I hope he gets the coach, and there's me being like, but we're stuck in Birmingham. But no, thank you, CptAuro, for sharing all that. Like, that's been actually really insightful, and I hope people do read this properly and, like, get an insight as to how to build teams like this and encourage them to actually try out these type of teams in the future. By the sounds of it, not only did your team have some good RNG, but also your games.
Yeah.
And the coach.
Very well managed.
that coach did a low damage roll, so you managed to get